valuable advice would you share if you could go back and offer guidance to your younger self? Is there any great advice someone once said to you?
I love a good philosophical question, so this is right up my alley. I feel like I actually got asked this question recently, and I think it's a really good question. So if I could build myself a time machine and go back and tell my younger self anything, the 3 things that I would say to my younger self is not everyone will see your value, and recognize your own value and surround yourself with the people who see that value too. And I think that's really important, and that goes for working relationships, like your job, your partner, your friends, relationships within your family. I think that, making sure you're surrounding yourself with people who see you as the unique human that you are and the, wonderful things that you bring, and knowing that that's complex and multifaceted. I think that's really important. And I think that will really help you in your career as well. Like earlier in my career, I definitely have worked in jobs where I felt like I was maybe a round peg trying really hard to fit into a square hole, and it just wasn't connecting as much as I tried to prove my worth, or had these amazing ideas. It didn't always, like, the communication element wasn't there. And then in hindsight, it wasn't that I wasn't good enough, or the work wasn't good enough, or that team wasn't the right fit. It was just the wrong place, wrong time, maybe in a different, management team or different brief. Maybe I could have had an opportunity to showcase different things. But I think leaving and kind of working on myself and working on my own work allowed me to kind of flourish. And I think as I started to flourish creatively, that's helped me in my life and my work. And I think it eventually led me to Storyfolk and starting Storyfolk with Cass. And I wouldn't have changed that trajectory, because if I had been maybe happier in those other roles, I'd probably still be doing some similar things. So I think that's kind of important too. But the second kind of piece of advice is to try new things and take some calculated chances. And I say calculated chances because I'm definitely not suggesting like go and quit your job on a whim. But if it isn't serving you, or you're not happy, or you feel like you could be doing something more, or it's not aligned with the industry you want to work in, start taking those steps to be that person you want to be and work in the role you want to work. Like the creative industry, thinking about it from a work perspective only at the moment, but the creative industry is filled with different opportunities, and I think that you can really align your passions and your values and your skill set to a job. And I think that's really important. And then the third and final piece of advice, which kind of, echoes some of the first, which is don't try and fit in. And I think that, I think that's really important, both in a tangible sense with your work. You don't follow the trends just because they're cool and quirky and fun at the moment. What's relevant for that client and what's going to serve them in the long term, or that job, not necessarily just doing things because they're cool and whatnot. And I think not trying to fit in, will bring you inner peace, because people will love you for who you are once you kind of show them who you are. And then it goes back to the first one. And if that's not the right environment, what is that right environment? And try and surround yourself with the people who do see that. And I almost feel like, and now this might be like overstepping, and Tara, you can come in with the next part with, backing up from a psychological perspective. But I do feel like for the person beforehand, I think that it sounds like the people in your life aren't seeing your true self. And it seems like maybe there needs to be some conversations there, or, leaning into the things that you really love. So you do feel like you have that supportive environment at work, with your friendship group, and at home. And obviously I'm not the psychologist in the room, so I'm going to leave it there and hand it over to Tara, who is wonderful and very capable in this area.
Well, look, I would absolutely agree with you. I'm mindful of the time, and I really want to tell people the answer to the next question.
Oh, the next question. Okay.
Yes, the next question.
Cool. All right.
I agree with everything you said, Sarah. That's the reason why I just want to go, yes, go to the next question, because I absolutely agree with everything you said. Yeah, you're like on it.
Thank you. Next question.
Grade 1 psychologist qualification from Tara.
Excellent.